as we complain about weights and stuff like that.
Grumble, grumble.
Grumble, grumble, weight of items. Grumble, grumble. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. I hope everybody's having a fine Saturday. Of course, it's June 27th. We're going to be reaching... I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to be around for July 4th. Like, I guess it depends on you two, how things are going. Like,
I'm probably working that day.
Okay.
But, well, actually, no, that's my weekend off.
At most, it might just be
I'll be
loud in the background, because I don't know when people are going to start, firing off stuff.
You know, I might
I'll be
still
around.
go in just because I like holiday pay.
That's
I'm
understandable.
salary, so I don't get holiday pay. Even if I was.
I refuse salary at this job because I'm already working over way more hours than than I should be. So I'm like, you're gonna pay me for those.
To be fair, I probably have worked like an extra hour a year. You know.
Yeah, if you are a cook, salary is a trap.
Makes sense for just the nature of the job in a lot of ways. Unfortunately. Well,
I mean, I wouldn't mind if they wanted to actually pay me, a reasonable amount, and then I could work more. But
it would be nice sometimes. Well, how did people's weeks go? Anything interesting happen? Any kind of games? The stuff you kind of did? Games, movies, TV shows, all those kind of things. How'd the week go for everybody?
My partner and I, we finished Halo 3, so we're continuing our slow crawl through the Halo games.
Nice.
I maintain my opinion that Halo 3 is the worst in the original trilogy of Halo games.
Fair.
The back half of that game, real bad.
Yeah, I mean, I really do feel like it was just a delivery mechanism for shooting rather than.
Basically, it doesn't really have a. I mean, it has a plot, but not like a particularly good one. It has, I still think, the best shooting mechanics though. So.
Halo 1 has a Halo. Halo 2
Halo
has another Halo. Halo
That's
3
true.
has the Ark.
Well, there's like half a Halo in Halo 3.
Oh yeah, it was like one under construction or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Halo Reach doesn't have a Halo.
So,
Why they call it Halo? It's fucked up.
I got interrupted here by a random announcement that might be weird enough and somewhat highly applied here, and I'm trying to make sure this is an actual real thing, and I think
What's
kind
the
of
source?
is. Sometimes like
News.
stuff newses on my phone with stuff that seems like your phone's like telling you related, and 99% of the time
Google articles that are trash.
Yeah, 99% of the time I ignore it, but apparently I have to look this up now if it's a real thing here. Homelands Remastered. Is this an actual thing?
Yeah, no, that's a real thing.
Holy crap.
Oh no, sorry, I think it's on a satire website, so
It must have been a software website. Someone talked about this. Why are they giving me this as news?
I know why. So a lot of those articles scrape Reddit for
I hate this.
content
I hate
to
this.
AI generate, and there's a couple of Reddit posts about.
This is why I ignore so many of these, but I'm like, is this something?
You should never use the Google News stuff because they're all AI.
I swipe them away so much, like 99.9% of the time. It's just sort of like, well, what the fuck is this? Okay, so it was shit that someone posted and my phone decided to yell at me about. Great.
Your phone heard you talking about magic at some point. It was like more Magic the Gathering stuff.
I'm shaking my head. Hey, what were we talking about before I was interrupted by stupidity? Halo, a little bit.
It'd be really funny to remake one of the worst sets they released, though.
I'm not gonna lie, like, it's the thing about Homeland. The thing about Homelands is there are some good cards in there, very few of them, and the other thing is it's also like the concept of the plane wasn't bad. If you like, when I looked into the lore, it's such a terrible set overall. Kind of like it's like one of those things is we can see how you can take a terrible set and make it good because it's got interesting lore. I'm looking at you, Kamigawa, but like I don't think they go back to Argatha. Argatha was one set, and it was even worse than Kamigawa. I think it's hard to say because it was when those time periods when
so basically it's from Draftism, which is a satire website.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, phone. I just thanks you for that.
Yeah, it's Halo. Built new computer, works. Thank God.
Yay, you know.
Played more gacha games. Woo! Working through Zenless Zone Zero. Enfield released a new character that I don't care about, so I'm not pulling for him. I just not interested in having a vampire in my roster personally. He looks cool, but sorry, my roster is punching and sword characters only.
Like it does.
It's funny because they have to go so hard on marketing him because historically male characters sell very poorly in gacha games.
Yes.
So he's had like 4 times the marketing of any other character they've released so far, and it's very much like, please fucking buy this guy.
Yeah, it's because there's a lot of horny men who just want to look good.
I can't goo. Well, I mean, I personally could, but I can't. You can't goo into a vampire twink. That's messed up.
I'll take your word on that one.
I mean, I romanced Astarion in one of my Baldur's Gate games, so I think I could. I don't care for spear users in Enfield at the moment.
I feel like the problem is women don't play as many gacha games.
Well, women play one gacha game, and it's called Love in Deep Space, and it's basically softcore porn.
Got it.
It really is. Learning anything about that is just like, what is this?
I've never heard of it, but I believe you.
Consistently the #1 gacha game in revenue every month.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, my point is, like, you tend to get a demographic and stick to it.
People want to buy the pretty ladies more than anything else. Yep. Especially in the more fantastical gacha games where they can go a little bit harder on the designs.
I can kind of see that there too. I guess it's kind of like you either have to go the route of like, the horny goony gacha characters, or like the I guess these super cool awesome characters, that are like, that just would rock.
Yeah, I mean, Arknights and
that's kind of around Raid goes.
Unfortunately, Arknights, the original, historically shied away from having sexy characters because like 90% of the roster's in full tactical gear in that game. But Enfield is definitely a little bit more of the sexed up anime style, but nowhere near as bad as like a Hoyo game or Nike, the Goddess of Victory, where it's just woman shoot gun and jiggle.
I mean, Raid Shadow Legends mixes the two.
Yeah.
# not sponsored, but I did play it for a bit.
I've never met a. You're the first person I met that's ever played that game.
It was honestly, it really wasn't that bad. It is fun. It's just I just got tired of having to log in every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly the main thing. Is just I have. I can get into a routine, but then once that breaks down, I tend not to go back to those things.
Yeah,
you can get a decent get a decent amount for free in that game. It's actually not too bad. It just takes a lot of grinding to obviously get the stuff free.
For me that Zenless and Enfield are both fun games to play and also very generous with their free currency.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they asked me to sponsor, I probably would.
Apparently, it's good money.
No, and that's the thing. It's like I don't hate it either, so that's why
get that bag.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I know some people absolutely despise Raid for whatever reason. Probably because their commercials are so obnoxious.
Yeah, I think the commercials are obnoxious. It's they just did a lot of them, and like everybody was sponsored by it and kind of stuff like that. And I was just like,
I'm still sponsored by it. I still see their ads.
They throw money at content creators.
Yeah. I'd probably take a sponsorship from them. I'm not gonna lie.
good money.
Yeah, like I'm
Right.
not in a position where I can like say like I could turn down like an extra money because that could help.
And
with
it's
planning
not like
stuff.
it's a fucking like crypto sponsorship or some
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Like-
no, that I would not feel, because like literally crypto, every single crypto that's come out since Bitcoin is a scam.
Yeah,
Yep.
like if some weird gotcha game or something like tried to get me to sponsor them, I wouldn't be against it. Again, like it's like one of those things. It's like
Some of them are very fun.
not necessarily my cup. Look, I'll stick with my playing a lot of Pokemon Go and stuff like that. Because I'm not gonna lie, I probably put more money into that than I should, but I'm also doing that to just
Hey, Pokemon Go, they came out and said, hey, we're not training military drones with our data, so you're all good.
Yeah, well, most of the time it's just sort of like I can like send things over to home for my shiny
You're
living
not a
decks.
military asset, Kansas.
Hey, I'll take it. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything major for my week. I'm trying to think about that. It's just been like you've still not great sleep schedule. I'm not gonna lie about that. While like I'm feeling better, my sleep schedule hasn't gotten back because like my everyday life, the problem I kind of had with my neck, it's kind of gone. It still happens a little bit when I lie down, so I still can only
that's
sleep
not
on my one side.
Maybe get a new pillow.
My power might help, and again, it's getting better, but I think it's like
Or get like if you still have one pillow, maybe get like a second smaller pillow.
I must have just pinched something in my neck that's just fucking with me
Possible.
horribly.
We're all old.
I can tell you,
Shit could
when it
break.
comes to neck issues, pillows are very important.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then my pillow I've been using a bunch, so maybe getting another new one might be good. I just crunch it. So
We're all old. We're all breaking down.
yeah,
Yeah,
Time-
outside of messing. Oh, I'll let you go.
I was gonna say time is an infinite destroyer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't
and
outrun
I
it.
was just gonna say,
Go ahead.
I was gonna try and wrap things up. That's why.
Oh.
Go for it.
But yeah, no, I've just said like as far as my week went though, it was basically just kind of boring, messing around with that kind of stuff, but nothing else. So,
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Boring is good sometimes.
yeah,
I'd take a boring week over the last month I've had.
I will say part of the issue is my boss's wife kept coming in, and she loves to wander around the office, meaning I have to be doing things that look like work, even when there is no work. Meaning I kind of just sit there doing nothing.
I'm gonna restart you before something breaks because you are frozen up, Firefox. So I'll have to get back into that in a second.
I mean, if you want, I can start off with my thing.
Yeah, why don't we? I think I was gonna say something, but I don't think it was very important. What was it? Shoot.
I mean, you were talking about next week. If people were available, we said we were.
What is this? Why are you? What?
I ask myself these questions a lot.
Okay, sorry. Something. I was restarting Firefox and something popped up with them, and I'm like, what? On top of the restore
It
session.
might have been like a crash log.
Yeah, but it was like a weird one that was talking about like it was like a little like Firefox news thing, and I'm like, why do you have that?
Oh, probably yeah. No, so Mozilla, like when they update, they send you to their Mozilla site, which also has news and stuff.
Here, yeah, they normally do that. This one overlaid on top of the restore your previous session, which was why it was weird.
Got it.
So I had to X off over top of my restore previous session. So I'm like, it was just a different format for the entire thing, and it just confused me a little bit here too. Rather than yes, it's a new restore previous session tab and the other thing tab. It just confused me. I was going to look something up, and now my brain has completely forgot it because everything broke. Maybe I'll remember it a little later. Yeah, why don't we get started with this stuff here, and if I remember what I was gonna talk about, I'll get into that. I'll
Want me to
book here.
'Cause you did put this first on the docket, so I figured we were talking about it first.
Yeah, I just put things together in an order, and that that was just happened to be the first thing, and I didn't move the order because laziness. You're welcome. Anyway, we'll turn it over to you for Lost Omens High Seas. Yar.
Yeah. So I did skimmed through it. I didn't look super closely. I mostly was curious if they'd make anything really crazy out of. My main thought when I looked into this was like, okay, did they do anything crazy with ship combat for the sake of like seeing what might happen for starship combat?
Oh.
But no, they just played off their normal vehicle rules and added a few things for ship combat.
Okay.
Namely, like, what might happen for difficult terrain. They added like boarding, but it was kind of minimal.
It's probably more shipboard combat rather than ship-to-ship combat.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. No, they do have ship-to-ship combat, but they just use the vehicle rules.
Okay. I haven't really checked the second edition vehicle rules very much, so.
Yeah, they have them. There's like actions you can take. They have new Anthemaru and heritage. They also have an elf heritage of aquatic elves.
Okay.
Merfolk heritage of Celia. Half symbol, bottom half of a fish, lower half akin to a cephalopod. Yeah, okay.
Oh, they put the
crab.
The other one, the octopi bottom people together kind of with.
Oh yeah, cephalopod. Okay, octopus. It's not. I do want to say, for the fact that their defining feature is the fact that they put their bottom half is a octopus. They only show the head, so it's not very helpful to figure out that's what that is. And then they have a trip key, heritage, camouflage trip key.
Okay, interesting.
They go over a lot of the shackles things, and they also, I thought it was weird because like they talked about the shackles, but then they also talk about Hermera, Hermia.
Hermia's an interesting one. I'm curious.
Yeah, and the shackles mostly.
Yeah, well, that's one of the. These are like the major like island places: the Shackles, Morden Spire, Mia Galti, and Hermea. Hermea, I'm just curious, what kind of dragon's in charge of it now, or was in charge of it, because it used to be a gold dragon.
Yeah. So let's see what he is called. I mean, this is him. I do show a picture.
Yeah.
He kind is he. I did kind of look at it, but yeah. Although I do find it interesting because that island has a lot of dragon blood on it. So apparently he passed some genes down.
He did. He also like. That's on purpose because he technically, Hermea's got technically, I think in the current lore has gotten rid of him as being in charge, but he was in charge for like a long time, and he was technically running humanoid genetic experiments, kind of.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't this the dragon that was like, I'm gonna eugenics humanity to be perfect or some shit?
Yeah.
And then he left when he realized that was a bad idea. Yeah,
which it took him long enough. He was eugenicsing the island, that's nice. That's the nice way of saying it.
Vizier Archdragon. Hold on, I have the dragon book. Let me look. I can look up what type that is.
Oh, it's Vizier Dragon. I think it might be type of dragon.
Yeah.
Vizier. Oh yeah.
I think that's the it's kind of the one that used to be gold.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. I guess they introduced the Draconic Codex. I haven't really. I'll have to take a look at some stuff from the Draconic
Codex. They're an
Codex
occult dragon, so they're tied to the occult because they now tie them to.
It's so interesting because I was just talking about dragons this week. How they still do. They do both. They have them tied to one of the traditions magically, but then they still have some of the subgroupings too within them that are weird, like divisions and stuff. Those aren't gone either. So it's kind of this weird double families or stuff like that. It makes a very interesting kind of concept for a lot of the dragons. I do like it a little bit while they have the overall kind of subgroups, and then like even within those subgroups you have like family units that are kind of related. Interestingly, it's neat.
Yep. So.
Okay, so the Vizier Dragon's like our.
I don't know why I really like this picture of him up here. It's just kind of, I don't know. This is kind of silly guy.
Yeah.
Kind of makes him look silly.
They're very interesting.
But yeah, I didn't look too closely at a lot of the. I tend not to look too super closely at all the little. They do go into a lot of the different places and stuff, and but then they go to there are pirate feats.
Ooh.
Yeah, okay, so there's the pirate archetype in Player Core 2, so they add to that. Dashing class feats, characters who are focused on dashing high seas actions. Also, okay. Oh, gunslinger. Okay, so it's just the different feats for the different people. So they have a few extra feats for different people, like swashbuckler and gunslinger. Generally, seems to be the big ones. Swashbuckler, gunslinger, and fighter. So I have some extra feats for them.
Okay.
And then let's see. Skimming through, they did. I do like how they're doing a little bit more of these descriptions for cities, so that way they can like give them a level and stuff, so you know like kind of what you can find in them.
Yeah.
They kind of like did that for a little bit, then stopped, and now they're doing it again, which is nice. There's the Marine Marauder archetype. Right, you're an archetype. Manchelius. Yeah, so it's it's an archetype. There we go. I found it says archetype in all the descriptions. I'm dumb. And then a few more magic items, and then they have some extra. Okay, one thing I love about all of these Lost Omens books is they almost always include new familiar options, and I just love them. You got this guy. Oops. I also have a map. That little guy,
little salamandery dude or newt dude.
Yeah, it's a iridescent salamander. Its support benefit is color swirl. It can dazzle people. Fortitude save against higher blah. On failure, the creature is sickened. Oh, sorry, sickened. And then they have the slit frog, which they don't have a picture here, but it is this thing.
Oh, sorry. Cool.
Yeah, this is a big frog. Yeah, and then they have a bestiary, one of which is a ship, and another which is like one of which.
I guess it's good to have stats for like if you're using a ship kind of equivalent to like a monster or something like that too.
Yeah, no, it's like a ship monster. Where is it? Yeah. It's the thing on the front of the book, but where is it? There it is. This thing.
So kind of ghost shippy, it looks like.
Yeah. It is a bone ship. Is what it's called.
Nice.
Cool.
Undead. So yeah. Anyway, that's kind of everything. No, I got a few demons and stuff. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Some options. You know, most of these are lore with a few extra options. I like them. I do like skimming the lore, but I don't. It's definitely more up your alley.
I am a big fan of lore, so you won't deny that. Always good on that, and I do like that we get. It's the thing is I am curious as to what kind of updates they are for those places, if it's anything major or if it's just the same information again.
If you're ever curious, I could. I mean, if you ever want to know about these, I can literally send you the books.
I might have to ask for a few. There's a couple that I'm like I've been like just having the book might be better than the other sources that you can find online and stuff like that. Because as much as I like using things like the wiki site, you gotta rely on books too for like a lot of information. It's like
I own every single 2e book, including the ones from pre revised. So
okay, I'll let you know. Cool. So all right. Oh, I did move over to RPGs. Okay, cool. Let's talk about a little bit more D&D stuff, but this is nice D&D stuff because it's not wizards, but also helpful to stuff with wizards. The EN5ider magazine, I don't know much about this, but they're having an annual, basically compilation of everything that they've had in them. So this is all kinds of rules.
I'm pretty sure this is made by the same people who do the EN World website.
I do think it's the same people that do the EN World website. You are correct. which I do tend to go to for some articles and stuff like here and there. So they're usually pretty good for the articles and stuff. But it's a bunch of stuff for players and dungeon masters and stuff like that, compiled all together. And they're basically putting it out here as you can get a PDF for $26 US, and it's 360 pages. So again, it's material for 5.5. Want it? You can get it. It's got like classes, subclasses, feats, magic items, spells. Yeah. It's the same kind of problem like that we had and we always talked about for older original 5th edition. You need material for 5.5, and
yeah, at least for now, there's not a lot. They have announced a lot of pretty neat stuff, though.
Yeah, they are.
To be fair,
coming out with more,
most
at least.
third-party content works fine with 5.5.
Yeah.
Because most third-party content actually was better balanced than everything Wizards put out.
Yeah. So, you know, monsters, puzzles, magic items, spells, subclasses, you know, and again, you as a dungeon master, it's a good source and you can check it all out. And because it's a kind of compilation, you can decide what you want to use, you know, you can say like, that's the big thing. You don't have to use all of it. You can be like, hey, I'm getting this. Let's take a look if there's anything that's helpful for our game, you know? So, yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I do like to get these. If I ever run like anything 5e adjacent for a long period of time, I'll use them.
Yeah. So check it out if you're interested in that one. Hey, because it is technically today, and though you may have missed it, maybe you're not, depending on where you are, and you can always go back and find usually these a little later, so keep a track of them. I'm just talking about it's free RPG day, you know, mentioning it again.
Yeah, a lot of
we-
these are annoying to get some way.
Yeah. Usually either you have to go to the store or most places usually put them out for free later. But usually you have to go to a store to get a bunch of these things, unfortunately. Because like even like Cobalt Press will put out a travel.
And most of them are like, oh, have our free quick start, which was already free, but we're advertising it.
Yeah, it's like usually what it is like it's a little like partial adventure and a quick start combined, and it's an advertisement. It's advertised for all different types of RPGs, but you can check them out, you can see them, and it's a crapshoot. There definitely have been plenty that have been pretty good. I think usually a lot of the free RPG day stuff like that, like Paizo puts out, tends to be pretty good. I don't know if they've put out one the last couple of years, but they put out a few here overall over the years. I didn't notice them on the list here, so they may or may not be putting out something that's here. But again, like it's if you go look back at their past stuff, it has been bad. You know, they've got some pretty good little fun little adventures too. So again, up to you if you can get out to check them out, or if not, if you want to keep an eye out for them, these might be another great way for a little bit of information to play a game. We are getting a couple more technically Warhammer books, but I'm just mentioning the 40k book here. That's the one I'm talking about. It's a Adeptus Mechanicus guide for the Imperial Maledictum RPG.
Nice.
Apparently I'd also missed that Cubicle 7 had put out a book last week, because I just missed it. They put out a Sylvania setting guide for role-playing, for fantasy role-playing, too, for Warhammer. Cool. So they're putting out a bunch of stuff. They're, again, Cubicle 7 does a really good job of putting out the Warhammer RPG stuff. They constantly are doing stuff. So if you ever want to play one of the Warhammer RPGs, there's stuff to check out. They're putting out a lot of great books. So, cool. We're getting a new area to check out for Arkham Horror, the RPG. We're heading to 1920s Louisiana. That seems fun.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. It's going to be in a starter set. So they're selling a starter set that's also going to include the new setting, creatures, spirits, and things related to that entire area. It's Arkham Horror, so it is going to be very Lovecraftian kind of in a ways, but we're, it's not only introducing a new kind of setting, it's also a starter box. So it's a double thing, you know? So you can check it out in an area that they haven't explored before very much in the Arkham Horror RPG. What?
You're trying to tell me thing based off Lovecraft is Lovecraftian?
No.
No.
Insane. Well, I mean, like, nowadays, like, you would think Call of Cthulhu is the big Lovecraftian things, but the Arkham Horror one is a different kind of thing.
It's just what you said. This is the way you said it. It's almost like it's got the Lovecraftian theme to it. Just like, I hope so.
Well, when I say Arkham Horror, like, yes, your average person knows, at least in our sphere, knows the board game. You know what it is. But I'm there probably are people outside of that, but it doesn't scream Cthulhu in your face. They don't know Cthulhu in your face. So I'm trying to appease to that.
I just feel like the way you said it was just funny.
Yeah, okay, look, my English sucks too, you know?
It's not even English, it's just phrasing.
So it's going to have a 16-page rules appendix, a 64-page adventure booklet, a bunch of pre-made characters, punch boards, double-sided maps, cards, profiles, evidence sheets, all those kind of things to set up an adventure and setting in Louisiana. So if you want to check out the Arkham Horror, it's coming out the end of July.
Very cool.
Yeah, I like that one there, too. We got an interesting bundle. A couple of times we've talked about Dungeon Crawl Classic, but... here is the link to the article that I saw about it. It links to the humble version of it too, but I wanted to give the article because it talks a little bit about it. It's Dungeon Crawl Classic, so it's a big old bundle all about that for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So that's a very classic, charity to give money to. Again, make sure you do the various things for telling how much of the charity and stuff, and adjust the donation over when you're doing something.
Yeah, always remember to adjust the donation because, their default is all like minimal to the charity, and then like most of it to humble.
Yeah. So you do have to still give us some to each group, but you definitely want to you maximize where you want to send it. But it's all Dungeon Crawl Classic stuff. Dungeon Crawl Classic, we talked about it a few times, but it is basically a modern take on original Dungeons and Dragons and a little bit of AD&D, put together in a way that's still got a lot of that kind of brutality that was in the older games, but kind of updated slightly to make it a little bit better for the modern audience and kind of stuff like that. So if you, again, like, I think I'm more on your end, Worm, that I would say, like, I don't think it's bad to try out the older editions if you know what you're getting into, generally speaking. They are fun. Mm-hmm. But if you don't want to go completely deep into it, this is the kind of middle ground that I can kind of suggest.
Oh, I actually do think these are better. Like, playing 2E, like, there are definitely things that I'm like, yeah, newer editions do this way better. And for the most part, Dungeon Crawl Classic and these kind of things do good with that. The thing is, it's just a different goal of the game. You're not meant to be able to charge in heroically into a room, and when people die doing that, they tend to be turned off of it.
Yeah. So, if you're interested in it, check it out. And this is a good way to get into it. So, yeah. Free League is giving us 2 new Outgunned books. They're coming into pre-order. We've talked about Outgunned before a little bit, but this is going to be the core rule book. It's basically an additional thing to the core rule book. It's got Action Flicks Volume 3 and Superheroes are the 2 books that are going to be coming out. So, it's one of them is going to be adding that you could do a superhero/villain game to Outgunned, and the other one is basically action genre stuff. So, like, if you want to do some things like that are very action movie, time traveler, gods of man, they say here, basically canine action movie genre, which I forgot was a movie genre that they don't do anymore, but they did for a while. That it's the guy with the dog partner or something like that. That's something that we've done before in movies. Mm-hmm. So yeah, different ways to
guy and his dog
fighting the world. I think the last time I remember anybody doing anything was it Sleeping Dogs was the Hong Kong style martial arts movie with the guy video game with the guy and his dog.
The Sleeping Dogs is was a Hong Kong cop game.
But it wasn't one of them. There was one that had a dog that was your companion.
Maybe. I don't think Sleeping Dogs had a dog in it.
Dog companion, Hong Kong.
You're fighting the
video
triad in
game.
that one. It's kind of like a rip-off of Yakuza in a weird way. I think you're crazy.
Yeah, I might be crazy. Yeah, maybe I am.
Quite possibly.
There was a game that was doing this stuff, but I don't remember what was. Was it this one?
The chat says Dead to Rights.
It is Dead to Rights. You're right, Dead to Rights. I just found it then too. So it's Dead to Rights. There we go. So there was a game, Dead to Rights. Thank you. I get games confused.
Different game.
Well, look, I'm not.
That's also an older game.
It's a game I never played either of them, so they just merged together in my brain half the time.
2002.
These all merge together in my brain sometimes, okay? Look. It's fine. Fine. My brain doesn't work very well. Penguin House is giving us a D&D Encyclopedia coming out in October.
Oh, thanks.
It's been fun. These are fun little things. It's probably going to be like a lot of like little bit like I would call these simplified like lore of various monsters and places and characters and stuff like that. And I think these are still good because I gotta be honest, like outside, like if you get a monster manual, you probably have some like, you know, lore, a little bits of lore in there, or maybe you get like the player's handbook or the DMG. You know, these things will have some stuff here, or maybe you get one of the core books. There's a lot of characters that just show up that no one really talks about ever. Yeah. So I think like the heroes, villages, locations, having something that's a little bit better for talking about these, like an encyclopedia, is a little bit better because they don't always talk about every book. So.
There's so many pages.
Be interesting to see how big it's going to be. That's a good question too. Could be coming out soon. We are getting
320 pages.
Cool. It's a pretty good amount. Probably not going to help. Again, it's probably not going to go into depths about everything, but it's going to give you like, if you want like encyclopedias like that are probably pretty good for a pickup and learn some basics of some lore and stuff too. And you can see what kind of interesting worlds you might want to explore more. You're gonna have to get somewhere else to get deeper, but it's, you know, your step in the right direction if you want to go into a little bit of lore exploration. So I'm very curious about this one because I've had my complaints and I like and dislike things about Werewolf 5e, but we're getting a full like tribe book about them, which is very interesting because like I like a deeper exploration of these and what's going on with them because they might be able to kind of like, I'm not gonna say fix, but like codify some of the things that are going on with what's in Werewolf that I think like as we've been going out they've been kind of fixing and kind of getting that sense. As I said, there's a lot of stuff in Werewolf that I think is good to change. I've agreed with that, but I always thought they went too far, and I would like to have somewhere in the middle where we, you know, kind of like always what Onyx Press did. Onyx Press took something and said, that's a problem, we have to fix it, and they took steps to fix it in a way that felt like it was appropriate in World of Darkness. You know, they respected things to a degree, but still fixed things where there was a problem, you know, and you know, they didn't take the they took a scalpel rather than an axe, and I feel like Renegade and White Wolf has taken an axe a lot of times, sometimes. So I'm looking forward to this, honestly, because I'm hoping that it's going to codify a lot of cool information about it, you know. So thumbs up on that one. And we are getting a Baldur's Gate 3 cookbook. So there's it from
new merits and gifts and stuff, which will be nice.
Yeah, always good for all that kind of stuff there too, for improving characters. So it's a Feast of 10 Day. It's basically a lot of culinary adventures of a lot of the characters. Yeah, 65 recipes inspired by the game. I'm curious as to what they are. These are always funny. They're usually just like versions of recipes in our world that you can still cook using our stuff rather than the stuff that they mention would be in the world and stuff like that. So they're fun little things here too. These like visits to a world for recipes and stuff like that. So it's fun little things like this. I like them. I rarely get them. I think I have one from many years ago. I can't remember what it was for, but it was like one of these recipe books. I might cook one recipe from it because I do some cooking, but not a lot of deep cooking. I usually do really look. I make simple recipes that are not difficult to
expand my cooking, but I'm very busy.
I say that too.
That's fair.
I'm less busy, but I'm also
I do cook 5 days out of the week. It's just my recipes are like 5 things that I cook, and I basically repeat that every week.
I am of kind of the same thing. I make very simple kind of recipes very often. So like, I'm like, I really should expand some things and change some things up. And then like, I'll use less like shortcuts for various things here and there sometimes, which I use to do. Thanks grocery store for giving me shortcuts that the laziness deep in my soul kind of takes up sometimes.
I don't grind my own ground beef, but I do cook it and make tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go that far, but yes, it would be stuff like
I don't ground.
That's what I mean. Like going that far is a little much for me, but I do think I should make some more steps. Shall we talk about?
Mix it up, add onions. Pretty good.
Cooking is good. You should do more of it.
I should do more too.
It's also healthier.
Yeah.
It also tastes better. They've done studies. Food you cook tastes better to you.
Yeah.
More personal. You made it with love.
Yeah.
Except I make all my food with hate.
Hate for my enemies.
Where all my hate goes.
There's a bunch of reveals at for Warhammer. Why don't we talk about that for a little bit?
Stuff.
A
lot of things.
So
put the article up.
There's the one article, and there's the others. I have here too. There's the two. Are they the same one?
Those are the same article. Well, one's more specific.
Okay.
So, I'll just start with the big one, aka the one that gets me the most excited. Hey, the dinosaur riding elves are in 40k as playable things now.
It's
Games
one.
Workshop, they looked in the back and they found more elves.
Were they only fantasy? Is that what it was?
No, so they've existed in the lore for a while, but they haven't really ever had like models or really ever been important, other than when a bunch of elves need to get murdered on screen.
Yeah,
got it. So they're now like playable.
You can play them in Kill Team, which is the smaller squad-based game, which probably means we're gonna get them possibly as a codex, because this is something people have been asking for a long time. Is where are the Exodites? Because they're a fan favorite faction. Yeah,
it's one of those ones that like every time I hear someone talk about the Exodites, it's like this cool concept of a bunch of like it's Eldari space elves that went to a planet and like just tamed dinosaurs and are like, hey, we're just gonna live off nature, and that's why we're not gonna go all like psychotic like some of our cousins did.
They abandoned Eldar society to go live more primitively with nature on Maiden Worlds, and that I guess means dinosaurs.
It does mean dinosaurs.
This is gonna be for 11.
This is for Kill Team, which is a separate game.
Got it. So Kill Team can't be played with.
No, because Kill Team has specific rules. But you could sub these in.
What version is Kill Team on then?
So Kill Team is just a separate game. It's not on like an edition. They just have its own unique rules.
Yeah.
Okay, so they haven't bothered updating that one. Okay.
Well, it just doesn't really ever need additions. It's just, hey, we've released a box. Here's everything you need to play with rules in it.
It's. I'm gonna guess it's kind of like an easier, simpler kind of version.
Yes, it's a smaller squad-based game. When you buy a Kill Team box, you usually get like enough to make a squad. They sell some individual models for Kill Team, but it's usually box versus box.
Yeah,
rather than making your own stuff.
I'd probably compare it something more like when you're doing some of the other.
It's a skirmish game.
It's a skirmish game, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a smaller scale, but again,
it's
like
preferred way to play Warhammer.
Yeah, it does say that, since they're doing some models here and it, gets more people into that one, maybe it will put people more towards, them being officially in more bigger stuff. Maybe.
I would like to see Exodites have their own codex and their own army eventually, but I don't know if they ever will because army model ranges take 1 billion years to get made and come out. So.
Well, because you have to make enough of them to.
It would probably be an 11th or a 12th edition thing, not an 11th, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We're getting a new.
How much does one of these boxes normally cost?
Kill teams, they're usually around like $50 to $60, depending.
That's kind of reasonable.
Yeah. And if I assume
really
that you pick it up and that would be what you play with,
You pick it up. Those are your guys. You paint them up how you want.
Yeah.
Maybe I could. I like this enough. I love these designs, and so my brain goes, maybe this is how I get into it.
I think the easiest way to get into Warhammer is Kill Team, or I forget what the fantasy equivalent is called, but fantasy has an equivalent.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about it, but fantasy showed off a really cool dragon too. I mean, like that's something.
We're getting a new edition of Necromunda, which makes me happy because Necromunda is cool.
Warcry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
is the equivalent.
Necromunda is like an interesting because that's a more like small scale, but that's also more of a skirmish fight too, isn't it?
More like a little RPG you play with your guys. They level up. It's more narrative.
I guess that'd be considered to.
My favorite part of 40k is the planet of Necromunda because it's very goofy.
Yeah, so I would say like Necromunda.
Necromunda is the part of 40k that's retained all of the punk that the 80s had.
Because I always kind of felt like I thought it was more akin to like a skirmish game with Kill Team, but from what you're saying, it's a lot more like the
It's a very narrative game.
Because isn't Wasteland Warfare the hybrid RPG / one? So it's kind of like more like that. If I'm comparing to stuff I'm a little bit more familiar with at this point in time.
It's kind of like that. It's a little different. You basically build a small group of gang members, and then you go battle with stuff.
Okay.
It, more importantly, is a 4-player game, so it is 4 people fighting each other or working together to deal with like one guy who's running, I don't know, like the enemy of the thing. It's very narrative.
Okay.
But we're getting a new edition, which is cool because Necromunda is cool. And I to this day believe that Necromunda has the best miniatures Games Workshop makes. They are, in my opinion, the best looking. And it also gave us the best named Warhammer character, good old Mungo Meatfist.
I forgot that Mungo came from Necromunda.
Mungo Meatfist from Necromunda.
Oh.
Watch, there's a very good, I think, 4-parter from Adeptus Ridiculous on Necromunda that everyone should go watch.
Yeah, that was just a good deep dive into that kind of stuff. I think I saw all of that. I can't remember. There might be. I've seen at least a bunch of it. It was good.
Next up, we got some ogre stuff for Sigmar. Looks awesome. Just really good model. World Eaters are getting a TV show that I don't care about because no one watches them. We're getting more Titan stuff if you can afford Titans.
Yeah.
If you're that kind of rich.
Yeah.
If Titans be the most expensive model kits traditionally.
Yeah.
Custodian are getting a Dreadnought for the Horus Heresy game, which is very cool. I think it looks very pretty.
It did sound like those can be played in 11.
My second favorite Warhammer game, Blood Bowl, is getting more stuff.
Oh, Blood Bowl.
Oh, that's nice.
I do love Blood Bowl. So they're just, I believe they're getting a new rule set and some new models.
Yeah.
They remembered Old World exists, so they gave Old World some stuff.
They gave is Old World the one that they gave the big old dragon to?
Yeah, they got the big Chaos Dragon.
Yeah. Evil Chaos
cool.
Dragon is kind of cool looking. Yeah. Like.
I mean, the fantasy models are like killer. They look so good.
It's definitely one of those things. It's like, I personally, just from hearing about some of the fantasy lore, I still prefer 40k lore. Just there's something interesting about that, because fantasy lore, yes, it's interesting, but there's a lot of fantasy, and it's not fantasy, like, it doesn't stand out as much for me.
Fantasy is hard to get into because it is the universe that literally is, and then everyone died.
Mm-hmm.
They just killed off everyone and then made Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, those models are really cool. I do agree on that one.
Hey, if you want to like learn Warhammer, Games Workshop is starting a little show called Warhammer Academy to teach you.
Yeah,
apparently it's free. I believe it's also going to be doing lore and like painting tips and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean that is nice because I feel like the barrier to entry for Warhammer is so high.
Yes,
it's the biggest thing holding it back.
On top of price, it is. I just spent a lot of money on these models. I don't want to fuck up painting them.
Yeah. Like it's if you want to get into the lore and world, there's books, there's video games, there's a lot of stuff like around that is Warhammer adjacent. But if you want to actually get to the miniatures game, it's such
very difficult.
Yeah, it's this extra step that's just so really hard to do.
Yeah, you have to live with the fact that your first couple of paint jobs are going to be trash.
Yeah,
there's no way around it.
Yep.
The big announcement, in my opinion, was that the first codex for 11th edition is orcs.
I do want to say the nice thing about painting is you actually can redo it.
Yeah.
You can. Yep. Just
it's something people need to remember.
Yep. You can always redo painting, and then painting is also very good for your mental health. It's very calming and relaxing. But yeah, we get orcs as the first codex. That's cool. I like orcs. Orcs are fun. We also get a big truck, because what are orcs if they don't have their silly vehicles?
There did seem to be like because I was watching part of it, the announcements, just because I could put it on this on the side, at the time it was coming out. It did seem like they were putting out a lot of detachments for it too, good amount of them, which I guess is a big thumbs up for like a codex. I'm assuming
it's getting, I think, at least 15 detachments, which is a lot.
So it's a wide variety of ways to play your orcs, which is, I think, sounds like it's good. I'm going to assume it's good without having full knowledge.
Orcs are my third favorite 40k faction, so it makes me happy.
The truck looks neat.
The truck is. I love orc vehicles because they're very scrappy and Mad Maxy.
Orcs are very silly. They are fun.
Yeah, they're good fun unless you're on like the receiving end of orc stuff, and then it's not so fun.
As I believe I've heard said is orcs are generally comic relief unless you're like actually against them, because then they're horrific monsters that take you for food or punching back.
When it's an orc book, it's really funny. When it's not an orc book, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
And then we're getting ready painted terrains and stuff. Because terrain painting is sucky. It comes in the starter set, which, classically the starter set is Ultramarines.
Yeah.
I don't blame them because it is the basic Space Marine.
Yeah. No, I won't argue with that. They are the traditional one in a lot of ways. I like they said, "Ooh, war dollies." You're not wrong.
True.
You're not wrong.
I just don't like Space Marines. They're probably my least favorite faction.
No, I agree.
40K.
I don't like them either.
I think they're very boring.
I think for me, there's interesting characters, but overall the concept's not very interesting.
Because every Space Marine book is effectively the same thing, and it gets very tiring.
I like in a thing where the humans are also kind of the bad. I mean, everyone's kind of a bad guy. It's like, well, you can show different perspectives,
Sorry, the best I can do is 500 more Imperium-based books.
And apparently, like some of the other groups that have had books, there's written poorly. Some of them, like what is it? Like the Tau have notoriously bad books.
Tau Empire, who have like one good book.
Yeah, but I mean, they hire the less, renowned they hire the less capable writers for the other books. That's also part of them,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just go to my favorite faction is the Necrons. I've said this before. Second favorite is Chaos. I'm a big Chaos fan. I think they look the coolest. Then it's Orcs, and then it's unfortunately I do like the Eldar a lot, despite them being the universe's punching bag all the time.
I like the Tyranids.
I wish the Tyranids were more interesting because you can't really do a Tyranid character because they're just a big hive mind.
I totally think, like, part of me honestly thinks it'd be really cool if they had, like, because this is something that you could totally do, like, Tyranids kind of, like, some of them are, like, trying to break away from the hive mind. You could do something with that.
You definitely could. I mean, my ultimate wish for 40k is to have a human faction that is neither Imperial nor Chaos.
That would actually be really cool.
Because right now, as it stands, if you are a human, you are either firmly Imperial or firmly Chaos, and if you do not worship Mr. Big E or in the Tau Empire, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, because both sides will try and...
Not even that, the gods are just going to be like, ooh, tasty human soul, that's mine now.
Yeah, and like, and the other places that humans, in quotation, show up aren't great either, because like what you got the Leagues of Votan, which are technically humans, but also kind of
they're dwarves. I refuse to call them abhumans.
They're dwarfs. They basically have transformed it. Yes, they're like descended from humans at very least. They're very very different.
Clones, technically.
Yeah, but they're very different enough. And then like as you said, like Tau and the humans in the Tau Empire aren't really in great shape.
Even when they did humans in the Tau Empire, they fucked it up because they basically were like, oh. There's humans in the Tau Empire. Well, that just means now the Tau have to deal with chaos demons because that's all humans do is make bad shit happen. It's like, so boring.
Yeah, which like I'm not gonna lie. Like I feel like it should be the if we go by everything that like you explained, it shouldn't be that way because it should be that like if they're in the Tau Empire and they're doing better than they would in the Imperium, they're gonna think more positive things, not attract those problems.
Essentially what occurred is the Tau discovered warp travel. They went into warp without a Gellerfield. A lot of bad stuff happened. And it was revealed that all of the non-Tau races in their combined belief created a Tau deity in the warp. Which I find a very boring mid-plot point that I don't care about.
Yeah.
The Tau are unique because they didn't have a warp presence, and now they do.
Yeah. You know, like it's like I that's why I like
a warp presence do.
That's why I like the
so the lore of the warp is everything has a warp presence because that is just your soul. The Tau just have a very weak warp presence, so they don't show up very well in the warp. They can't traditionally do warp travel because they didn't have the tech until recently. They certainly don't have Gellerfield tech. They don't even have Psychers.
Yeah.
So
it's probably like for them it would be very, very, very long before they would probably develop something like a Psyker because, humans had a bigger warp presence and then like, exposure to a lot of warp things had the mutations happen a lot more, especially like the warp storms and stuff. So it's a genetic mutation that kind of occurred in humans for psychic powers.
Being a Psyker also doesn't mean you shoot lightning from your hands. It also could just mean you're like really lucky.
Yep. So here's the thing. I do like the explanation. Like, what was it? Someone was talking about the orcs or something. How like, it was just ridiculous that they went into orcs, where it's got like the interesting idea that there is like a joint like actual like fungal like consciousness to the orc people.
Yeah.
Where if you die as an orc, you don't come back. You sometimes kind of reincarnate with some of your like. It's like the expertise you had, except it's a new you, and you generally know how to do some things, So it's technically, it's a kind of an interesting idea that like, like someone's really good with mechs. A version of you might be kind of born. It's a new person, but they might have some of the skill you developed. That's kind of this interesting idea for this kind of like orc, somewhat kind of psychic network of like colony fungus, because they are a fungus. And like we know that fungal colonies can be massive and insane, and that can kind of make sense. And they kind of this is a cool concept that kind of explores a different version of something, and maybe like the Gork and Mork are kind of manifestations of that kind of fungal consciousness in a way.
unfortunate thing of 40K is we'll get a really cool thing in a book, and then it'll be at least 5 years before that gets brought up again.
Yeah. They have interesting concepts, but don't explore it as much as they should. You know.
There's just too much content.
Yeah.
Too many stories that they have to write.
Yeah. Too many stories, and you know, I feel like they could put out more, but they have to find more people. And
They already put out so many books a year.
That's
be
true.
fair.
I mean, look, they have to put out another 10 books on the Horus Heresy.
So what are the Chaos Gods then if the warp is like a reflection?
So the Chaos Gods are beings that exist in the warp that have gained power through their domains. Like Nurgle is rot, so every time something rots away, he gets his power. Korn is death and war. Tzeentch is nonsense. Don't try to understand him.
Mm-hmm.
Nonsense and secrets. Slaanesh is excess, which is why she's theoretically the most powerful Chaos God.
Yeah, excess perfection. It's the thing that I like the explanation that, like, because there are souls and there are both negative and positives, there are creatures that form in the warp and something like that. It's just that we always hear about the ones that are more malevolent, the demons and stuff like that, which
There's
are
a couple
negative.
of pretty powerful dudes in the warp, like Vashtor, who was a big thing in 9th, who hasn't really come back for a while.
Yeah.
I think
So-
they're gonna probably do something with him.
I think the idea that they always say is that, like, when the Necrons had their war in heaven and stuff like that, you know, that basically empowered the three main Chaos Gods. And the only reason Celeste is as powerful is, you know, destroy the Eldar species, which
The
were
Eldar
trillion
was
strong,
fucking-
you know. So, you know, big major things created these things, or at least
If you
empowered
wanted
them.
to get into the super nitty gritty, the Emperor is technically a god.
Yeah, I knew that.
There's theoretically 2 emperors, the one that sits on the throne, and then his conscience and morality that he threw into the warp so he could kill his son. That's theoretically still kicking around as a god. The 3 Eldar god that are alive are in the warp, though every time they come out, they kind of just get punched in the face to make a name character look cool.
Does Kakarot ever show up?
Kane shows up and gets beaten the shit out of constantly.
That sucks.
Yeah, he's never had a win.
Anisha's in a jar, and, you know, Kakarot's doing something in the background.
Kakarot. Technically, the Eldar God of Death might exist again, might not. They kind of threw that plotline away.
Yeah, the orcs have Gork and Mork, which, as I said, that at least I can explain more as, like, the kind of psychic join consciousness of the orcs together form 2 gods. That can kind of make sense. Cool.
One is cunning but brutal. The other is brutal but cunning.
The Catan, I guess, are still technically around.
Kind of.
Pieces.
I think there's one fully formed Catan still kicking.
Yeah, they're weird. There's a lot of weird, super powerful things. It's kind of like it's 40K. I can compare it to the weirdness of stuff for, like, comic books. Marvel and DC have a lot of weird, like, super powerful, weird beings and stuff like that, you know, that exist in them. It's the same kind of thing. If you ever try to explore comic book weird spiritual kind of things or, like, cosmic beings, it's weird shit. Like, the movies touch on it a little bit here and there. They don't go into the depths of how weird it gets at all, and some of them have gotten pretty close to it, you know.
It's all the product of cocaine fueled writing in the 80s, so
And whatever 40K is no different.
Throw in a lot of inspiration from heavy metal magazine and then the punk scene, and then now you got 40 years later a bunch of nonsense. Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. They try their best to work with it. It's like, we got some stuff, we're working with it, but yeah. So, but no, I think it was some interesting stuff here. You know, as enjoying kind of from the sidelines a lot of the interesting kind of lore and kind of interesting directions. I'm happy to see some of these things here too, because it also sounded like, at least for the 11th edition codexes, they're putting out a lot more lore stuff in them, since they said in the orc book they're putting out a
fixing the
huge
mistakes of 10th edition.
Yeah, and I'm a lore guy. I love it when people do lore stuff for games.
Yeah.
I'd give a thumbs up.
I primarily enjoy 40K through its books nowadays, so I'm always happy to have more. And everyone should play Blood Bowl because it's very good.
Yep. There's video games on that if you want to try those. I think some of them are pretty
good. Play Bloodborne 2. Bloodborne 3 is kind of bad.
Yeah, I was hearing about that the second one is the best one if you want to try that out. If you want to get into try it out. Cool. So that was the Summer Warhammer.
So a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. So, the arena people have voted and are going to have a union. And it sounds like so far, Wizards hasn't retaliated, which is good.
We'll see how this goes.
Yes, we've reached the negotiation phase. And yes.
I am not hopeful.
No. But
yeah. I mean, the vote is a good step.
Yeah.
The thing is that okay, I watched a whole thing about unions a bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think between the last time we talked about this. So basically, after this, there's this negotiation step. The problem with the negotiation step is there's no legal rules saying how long it has to take. Meaning they can just drag it out for years and years and years until it dies.
Then we hit the other problem of Washington is an at-will employment states.
Yeah.
Which brings in potential retaliation that you can't really do a lot about, unfortunately.
You can, I mean, that's the thing. Like, yes, you can start, so because it takes so long, you can fire people for other reasons slowly over time until the union dies.
Pretty much.
There's union busting. We really need better laws against union busting.
Yeah.
Because union busting isn't so drastic as it used to be, where they actively,
you don't summon militia groups to shoot workers striking anymore. Now you just fire them and they starve in the streets.
Yeah.
Now you just fire them, and then I mean, at least you're not allowed to do blacklists.
Yes, that is one good thing you cannot do.
Yeah, but there are some ways to do that, but they're pretty rare.
So, again, because Wizards took a automatic hostility approach to it, we don't know how it's going to go. We can hope for the best, but they've already done a bunch of really hostile actions.
Yeah, I live in hope, but I'm not optimistic. I've seen too much.
I do know one way that companies can blacklist you, and that's by filing a police report against you for something, and that will put your name in like the legal record, which saying like you have like an arrest or a warrant or something, which can prevent you from getting hired, because a lot of people do background checks. That's one way to blacklist people. That's one that I've heard of. I don't know. So it's hard to do though, because you have to have like a semi-legitimate reason at the very least, even if it is mostly BS.
Yeah. So,
but I did hear of one where someone like claimed that they were assaulted by a guy, even though the person assaulted wasn't. Yeah, it was weird.
So, other news. So that's something we're gonna have to keep an eye on. Unfortunately,
we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Ron Spears, an artist who had done over 100 Magic cards, has passed away.
Rest in peace.
Yep. He started in the Ursa Saga, and as well, there's a bunch of cards in here that are just well known and stuff like that he's done art for over the years. So, he did some stuff a couple years ago, and he actually had a card, some of his art in Lore When Equipped. So, up until recently, he's been still helping out and putting art. As much as he put out a lot back in the day, he's still here and there popped in to do a couple bit more art pieces. So, well-known artist, did a lot of good cards, stuff like that, and yeah, unfortunately, so passed away. We're getting a XCOM miniatures game by Modiphius.
Could be second one, technically.
Yeah. This one's being done by Modiphius, so might be a little different than the last one we kind of got.
Probably have much longer support because the board game did not exist for very long.
Yeah. They're focusing on Enemy Unknown.
Good. That's the good one.
They're going to be doing, it looks like solo and co-op war game with 180 core rulebook. They're basing it on their 5 parsecs from home battle engine.
Nice.
So they've got a miniature engine they're using. And yeah, missions and stuff like that. I assume like you could definitely have it that it's I assume it'll probably played out by you versus various enemy factions and stuff like that, and you can do it solo or with someone else that the two of you take on like teams and stuff for that.
I'm interested to see. I hope this does well because it would mean we get a enemy within expansion, which would add the hostile human factions into the game. But as this stands, it would just be XCOM versus the aliens.
Yeah,
since that's the only. Exalt are actually in here. They listed, so you know what? They got Exalt here, and that's the hostile human faction.
Yeah, I'm interested how they're going to go about it, because they're saying that they're kind of focusing originally now on solo and co-op, which means that you aren't being against each other. They're probably going against like board setups and stuff like that, and enemy squads that you'll like set up to face against that the rules will go against.
Really loved the board game, but the only problem with it is you needed a phone app for it, and I believe the phone app does not exist anymore.
Yeah.
Because you needed a phone app to calculate the alien turn.
So I guess they'll have like most of the miniatures games that they have, they'll have the basic sup and the basic set that you'll kind of get along with the book, and then you can get various other miniatures for like, I guess, enemies and also allies that you pick up, as you go, stuff like that.
Yeah, I love XCOM Enemy Within, Enemy Unknown. I'm very happy this exists.
So, cool.
Neat.
All right. So, we got this interesting article I saw on one of these sites that I do want to talk about here, because it could have an effect. Apparently, there's been a ruling in Britain towards Microsoft and Argos that technically could affect virtual tabletops. Will it? We don't know. It's a thing to see in the future. But the way that the wording is broken down, basically the way that virtual tabletops work, is very similar. It's basically it's a ruling against things related to
loot boxes
and stuff like that. And I was gonna say DLC, but it's not DLC. It's microtransactions and stuff like that.
Yes.
Which, technically speaking, like the virtual tabletops do a lot of stuff like that, and so it's like they have things that would be equivalent DLC or microtransactions. So
I assume, because this lawsuit was over failing to disclose the presence, I assume you would just get around this by being like in-game purchases.
Yeah. They might have to put some things together and talk about it.
I know, like, even if there is a VTT that does loot boxes, which I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
You would just have to put the odds on there, technically.
So you actually have to you have to display odds. That's cool.
Yeah. Legally, in a lot of countries, you have to display the odds of what you're getting. That's why I don't mind. That's why I prefer gacha games over Western loot boxes, because in China you have to display the odds of your roll, and what like your chances of getting a character or weapon are.
Interesting. That's very interesting, because I didn't think about that. That's something that definitely like it's nicer that way, because it gives you an idea.
Helps. It's not perfect, but it does help a little bit.
Yeah.
And dissuading people.
Yeah. Like
I mean, like, if you see a 1% chance, you're kind of just like, well, because that's the thing. Like, you see a 1% chance, and you can do the math of, okay, 1 times, let's say it's a $10 thing, that's 1%. I'm going to spend $1,000 on this,
It's, am I going to spend $1,000, or am I going to go usually, because most times, not always, most times, there's also that option of just buying things outright. It's like, sure, might just buy that outright or something like that over there.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing, is if there are buy outright options for things, you can do the math to basically like, was this worth it?
Yeah.
Especially if it's like a buy off of someone else kind of thing, where it's like, okay, this person's selling for this much, I could grind for it for this much, I'll do this.
It helps with math and keeping, again, not perfect, but it can help keep spending down for people.
Keep spending down. It helps mediate the risk of gambling addiction, though that is still a huge problem with these kind of things. Unfortunately, the only way to fix that is to just ban it, which is never going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
I mean, we do need to ban gambling again. It used to be illegal, but the problem is
the problem is you then run into the thing of, well, we banned gambling, now there's just illegal gambling, which is unregulated and much worse.
Yeah.
Yes, but based on what I've kind of seen, legal gambling is in a way worse than unregulated gambling.
Yeah,
Because you have to go out of your way to find it. When it's everywhere, it catches a lot more people, and a lot more people get
it
know,
also
down by it.
depends where you're gambling to. Because if you're in one of the big
True.
casinos, those were run a lot nicer when the mafia had them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
I mean, that's the thing.
Put out here the advertisements for the stupid like gambling apps. We gotta get rid of those.
No, I think
those are the
and that's
worst.
no, and that's what I think should. That's a good point. I think gambling apps should be illegal. Gambling casinos where you actually have to go to a location to gamble is like a pretty big like step. Like people can still get hooked, but it takes a lot more. When these apps, you can literally just and here's the thing: you can unsubscribe, you can do a bunch of stuff, and they'll still keep trying to get you back in. Like there's no stopping them.
This is a question I have for you guys. Have you noticed over the last couple of years in Pennsylvania that slot machines have been showing up in like just regular businesses more here?
I have not, because I'm not
That's
gonna
been a thing
lie.
that's been happening recently.
But it very well could. But I
little
really
bit-
only go to like the grocery store most of the time, and maybe a
a
couple
little
like
bit
other
of
smaller
good
shops.
news that happened recently is our state Supreme Court categorized slot machines as skill-based games, meaning they cannot exist outside of casinos.
Ooh, get rid of them finally. Here's the thing too. I might not have been paying attention to them being there. Like I'm thinking about it, and like very easily there could have been like one at the place I picked up the food on Friday, because there's a bar area over there, and the other place I was picking up food. There could have been one over there. I wouldn't have seen it. I don't walk in there, Most of the time I'm at that place, I'm either picking up food, or the few times that, my mom's like, I'm coming home from somewhere, meet me there to go get some food in the restaurant section, We don't hang out in the bar area. So, could be there very easily. So, interesting that, it was popping up and now it's going away. I'm fine with that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's anyway, but yeah, and then you've got the whole prediction markets thing. I don't know if you've heard about that.
That's
That's been real bad.
It's very bad.
Yeah, because it's technically not classified as gambling, meaning like states can't regulate it.
They are skirting a line that should be illegal, but we're unfortunately in a situation right now that it's going to be a while before we can actually get to that. AKA, if you really feel against this, the current people that are supporting that in government should be really gotten out of there. I'm going to say that. The current people are supporting it, and I don't like it.
What man? You don't like
vote Democrat in the next election. It's the only way to actually.
Wait, you're telling me you don't like the fact that you can go onto a website and like gamble how many people die when the U.S. drops a bomb?
No, I don't. Again, like just on the high grounds of this, it's just I've always prided myself as an independent in U.S. here, but like just the one side has just like ruined it so much over the last 2 years for me, even more than they already had in a lot of ways.
Let me put it this way: I generally consider myself right-leaning, but I've voted Democrat recently because it's the only option, really.
Yeah. But make choices on your own. It's up to you. Whatever your thing is.
I guess since we're all staying our politics, I'm staunchly social democrat.
Yeah,
I'm very boring.
I'm a weird one because I've got like a mixed bag of like a lot of things for like different things. That is, I definitely can't fit in one.
No, and that's kind of where I am at too, where it's all.
I feel like I do lean more towards like left socially a lot for things, but there's like definitely some things that I'm like I think I just want like sometimes. There's ideas that I'm like, I like the way certain things go, but I feel like there just needs that one level of regulation, just a little bit of regulation in certain places that you don't have to go the full hog, on it. You just need a couple of steps, It's like what I've good friend of the show, Blaze. Big fan of like, firearms and stuff. I've talked with him a lot about it, There's just like common sense things that like we can't get because it's like in the middle. Like just a little bit of common sense things related to firearms. We don't have to go like banning them outright, or like having everybody have one. There's something in the middle, There is. I would like that.
Here's the really cool thing that we don't talk about a lot. A lot of left-leaning people love guns.
Yeah.
It's just the crazy people
I mean,
again,
guns are cool.
Left has crazies too. Not both sides. You know, both sides
Everyone
are
got
crazy.
crazies. America's a crazy ass country.
No, and that's kind of the thing. It's like, 'cause I don't like, and that's kind of honestly that's kind of why I'm in the middle. It's not because I like either side. It's because I dislike both sides.
Yeah. But anyway, gambling got us on this entire thing. You know, it's a
Gambling
slippery
bad.
stuff. Gambling bad.
Regulation on gambling good.
But we are getting a Halo board game. I thought, did we get one before? I don't know.
Well, we have a miniatures game for Halo.
So there's a board game apparently.
I
that,
forget what it's called, but it's a very good
yeah.
miniatures game.
Yeah, right. It was a miniatures game. It's going to be released towards the end of July of this year.
Oh, so they're like timing it with the remaster release. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, they're the same. They are. It looks like they are the same people that worked on the Halo Flashpoint miniatures game.
Oh, that's a very good miniatures game.
Okay,
Halo
so
Flashpoint is amazing.
so it looks like it's going to be a 1 or 2 player board game that are going to do based on this too. So that'll be interesting. I'm interested what direction they take with it.
I want to see more of this, like what this looks like, because I am big Halo fan.
Good thing to say there. Don't concentrate power, allow one dude or a few dudes. Very good.
What? No, you don't want authoritarianism?
Smash Up's getting a new expansion, and it's the 80s. Now, as someone that really is kind of post 80s, but saw a lot of stuff from the 80s, aka early 90s, we still saw a lot of early 80s. I find this funny because it's 80s cartoons that are doing Smash Up for. Pearl, Adolescent Epic Geckos, Rulers of the Cosmos, and G.I. Gerald are going to be the, I guess, groups. If you don't know Smash Up, it's like lots of little groups of like, it's a card game, a deck game, where you smash up two groups together to create one deck, and then you try to like win the game through that entire thing. You know, there's rules for it.
Yeah, so basically there's a bunch of different little factions, and you don't really get to pick like which faction. Oh, sorry, you don't really get to pick like your cards. You just get to pick a faction, and then you take all the cards from that faction.
Yeah.
And you mash those, and then you do that with another, and then you mash them together.
Like some of the older ones are like dinosaurs, ninjas, and stuff like that. They're very simple ones. So you could be like, you know, your G.I. Gerald is with is also ninjas now too. So you work together. That's two together. So you're basically playing like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe or something like that. You know, is he the only ninja in that? It's not good. Like I don't think he's ever. Whatever. You know, I remembered the character's name at least. I think it's the only one I remember. Anyway, but yeah, so Smash Up, get a new one. Some more cards from it. Cool, great. We can use that for more variety. And then finally, hey, guess what? Daimond. So we can never get away from it because we do get more updates on the trash fire that is Daimond and its bankruptcy. So there's some status on some things. The bankruptcy court denied the motion for Sparkle Pop to have right to the consignment inventory, which is good. They can't just sell all the stuff that they got. You know, good. Granted, they were just given this by Daimond while they were like selling off parts to Sparkle Pop, and Daimond didn't tell them it was consignment, so it's a problem. But basically, it's been the court's been like, no, you can't capitalize on their mistake. Basically, the court has at least said for now.
Yeah.
So yeah. And they wanted to seize the stuff because they've been storing it and it's been in consignment. They're like, hey, we can't keep paying for this unpaid storage, and we want to get rid of it too. So yeah. And then the case against the consignment vendors is getting a date of June 30th, so coming up soon for various arguments and stuff like that. So we might see some big updates or some stuff in the case of consignors versus Daimond coming up in early July. We'll see if basically deadlines are there. Whether or not there's decisions or that's going on to the next step, that's to be seen.
You can often prolong things.
Yep.
Annoyingly.
And the Alliance Entertainment case against Daimond and their advisors and executive has a deadline of October 30th. So that one's a little farther out to see. But again, the continued mess that is Daimond's descent into destruction continues to be a complete mess. An epic shit show that we're watching from the sidelines that is having negative effects.
So
true. Until November 30th to complete Discovery. That's still only the first step.
It's gonna be a while.
Discovery is where you basically just get all the stuff you need from the other person. Then you have to research the stuff you get from the other person.
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to follow through with something.
So the alliance suit is very early on, basically, in what's going on. So
yeah,
I think that's the one that's the furthest out right now. It seems.
Those video essays on this in 6 years are gonna be so good.
They really will be.
Yep.
But hey, it's the thing of it's still related to everything with all this consignment stuff, and we've seen what was happening with Paizo as related to it. So we'll talk about it as we get updates. It's the.
I mean, yeah. At least Paizo should be okay.
Yeah, I feel bad for the smaller companies that got dragged into this.
Yeah,
because Paizo, because that's the thing. Like, despite, like, that's the thing. Like, Paizo made like 2 million in profit, but they lost 10 million from this.
Yeah,
it's like, and that's really bad for a small company.
Yeah.
As they've said, they're this year might help them rebound from this entire thing, and because they are not being burdened by it anymore. The hit has already happened, so that's the thing too.
Yeah. Well, see, the problem is there is still one thing, and that's the fact that they can't do other distributors. Remember that?
Yeah.
They're bounded by a thing, and they're not, because the litigation's still ongoing, they can't get other distributors, meaning they still can't distribute their products through third parties like Amazon.
Still a mess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, still a hot garbage mess. That is what it is.
But yeah, go to Paizo website and support them directly. It's the best way anyway, because they make the most profit off of it.
Yeah. Shall we talk about our deeper discussion topic? I call it an interesting one because we've talked about maps in the past, and this is a topic of choosing the right map I thought was going to talk about. Because certainly speaking, there are plenty of times that you have a map available. Like, I think we've talked about, if you're playing something that's pre-made, there's probably plenty of maps available. But here's the thing also. Like, there can be maps between different editions of games or different times places are visited. Sure, maybe there's only the one map from one adventure. You're running that adventure, you're going to use that map. Or maybe you're having an adventure in Waterdeep. What map are you going to use for that? Now that's one level of this.
Perhaps you're playing a Pathfinder 1E adventure where they love scaling every map to 10-foot squares for some reason.
They really do. This is not always a good thing. At all.
D&D 5e loves doing that as well. I don't know what that's about.
It's very strange. I don't really get why they do this shit.
But,
yeah.
So, direct publishing maps, that's one side of this. I think the other side is, too, like when you go to something like Chepeku and you get maps, figuring out what map is right for you, because, yeah, a map can be something simple as you use it for a place your players explore. It can also be often used for battles and stuff too. And when you're using it for a battle, well, are you going to use the map directly? Like, how many times have I used a map where I wasn't going to have a tree on there, but it's like a forest map and there's a tree there, and I'm like, I guess there's a tree there now, or a forest.
Yeah.
There's some parts of the forest.
So
a fallen log.
Let's go with. Yeah, and I think this does vary. So there are a few different maps. There's battle maps, which I would consider like ones that are for like a specific battle.
Mm-hmm.
Dungeon maps, which are like for dungeon exploration. Then you've got
area maps, we'll call them.
Area maps, which I would consider kind of my outside like maps. Sometimes on a larger scale, like usually it's very local, but still on a larger scale than a battle map. Then I would say you have like town maps, and then then region maps, which would be like whether that's the map of the world or the map of like a territory, which is more just to show where things are. And then the last one, well, technically there's one more after that, but and then there's the Hexploration map, which is different because you almost need something different for that.
So
and lastly, I would say there is one more that I did think of, stellar maps.
So I'm gonna kind of say like I think we've kind of handled talking about our exploration, our stellar, our region maps. Those are pretty easy because like either you're drawing them yourself or you're using a pre-made one if you're using a pre-made area sometimes, something like that. These maps here tend to be what you want. So you don't really have to worry too much about that. City maps depends. Like if you're
the ones I'd say you tend to pick from somewhere if you don't have one are city maps, dungeon maps, and battle maps.
So yeah, so I think that's
sometimes area maps, but
sometimes I will agree on that one too. So I think again, like usually for it's like a pre-published like used area for area map sometimes on that one. So that's kind of our start off for this is the ideas for the maps we're going to talk about. So I think the big ones to focus on really though probably would be dungeon and battle more than anything. Would you agree on that? Those are the more important ones to choose from in this idea that we have to choose the right map for these.
Sure.
Yeah, because like city maps, you can literally just find any city map and then basically be like, here, here, and here are the things, you know? So it's not too bad.
Yeah.
You can also, there's ones where you can randomly generate them, and those are like fine as well.
Yeah.
So like, you really don't need that much for those.
Yeah. So I think dungeon's a good way to start out with because I think battle would be is a different conversation a little bit. So dungeon maps, certainly speaking, you can use pre-made ones, you can randomly generate ones, but again, I think when it comes to the right map, you have to decide what you want out of it. That comes down to a lot of what kind of dungeon you're doing, how big the dungeon is going to be, all these questions that are basic ones. And then even if you get a map, let's say like you use one of the map generating websites or something like that for a simple map, you have to figure out what's in it. You can draw stuff that's in there, you can add stuff that's in there. There's a lot of stuff you can do with dungeon maps in a lot of ways to make your map and customize. I think that's the one. Dungeon maps are the one that you're going to be working on, that either you're using something pre-made somewhere or doing a lot of customization from it. And it's what do you want out of it, I think is a good question for that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like Joe always just found some really shitty image and it always pissed me off because it's all like, literally I could make a map in 5 minutes that's 10 times better than this. Because it's like, it'd be stretched, they don't line up because you just found some image. I doubt you even did a reverse Google image search to find a better version of it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that, in my opinion, does matter, because when I'm like annoyed at, like, it's fine, but like when things don't line up, it's kind of frustrating. You know, you want things to kind of work. At least that's me. I know some people probably don't care, but that's me. I hate when maps just, it's like, can I stand here? Probably. Sure, I'll move there. Is that a pillar?
One of the reasons I try to find gridless maps. Because lining up a grid is very annoying on Roll20.
Even, yeah. Yes. Yeah, it depends.
Especially because a lot of map makers don't put the grid numbers on their Reddit posts or stuff.
Yeah.
Which that always kind of annoys me.
Yeah, especially, yeah, and that's kind of the thing where it's just all like, and then you have trouble figuring out where the grid is versus the other grid, like, because it's like, okay, wait, which grid am I looking at? And then, like, you try and go behind a pillar, and then it's like, because it doesn't line up right, it's like, am I behind it? Am I not? Oh, the GM seems to think I am. Oh, gosh. Anyway, yeah, my point is...
I mean, next game I run might be a gridless game.
Yeah, but... it's fine. I think you really should use maps if you can, because there are a lot of... It just makes things so much easier for players. Like, I'm actually going to say right now, I do like that Joe uses maps. Yeah. I think his game would be 10 times worse if he did not, because I would, you know, he's already bad enough at, you know, making sure things are clear.
I agree. D&D and Pathfinder especially are designed for use of maps. Theater of Minding in those two games is very, very difficult because of the amount of measurements that are very specific, the specific way cones work in Pathfinder, which always trips me up a little bit because they work very differently than 5e cones.
Yeah. But it's, yeah, because I think Pathfinder, they're like 45-degree angle cones, whereas in Pathfinder, but we're in 5e, the cone is as wide as it is long.
We always have to consult the dumb table on the PFSRD on how cones work every time we play.
Yeah, not to mention if you fly in 5e, you can make really crazy shapes in ellipses that can basically do just about anything you want with a cone.
I will always remember from Pathfinder 1E. They use a lot of the same codes from 3.5.
Yep.
And so me and Blaze, we collected a lot of the D&D miniatures, and in the starter boxes they always had a map you could use, like a good folded map. So he went and took one of these, and because on the back there were shapes, because there was like reference things on the one back of it. So we cut them out. So we had these like he had little shapes that if we had a map out, he could put them down, and it'd be 5-foot squares to show where things are. Because
when we
so much
played
easier.
in person a lot, we used blast markers for cones and AoEs.
Yeah.
Which you can do that on Roll20, but they don't have like the preset measurements that you can just plop down. I think that might be a premium feature, and I don't pay for premium.
I feel like you could do measurement as part of the measurement tools. You can do for free now.
Well, I mean, you can do measuring, but I don't think you can just pre-select a 15-foot cone, drag that onto the map.
You probably need like an token
I assume
or
that's
something for that.
a token or a module you can install.
Yeah. Yeah, but ultimately, use maps. I definitely think for dungeon maps, it's almost always better to make your own, just because it's really hard to find something that fits what you want.
Unless it's like a kind of generic-y crypt dungeon. Because a lot of your early adventures are going to have those, like, monster of the week style things for XP and levels a lot of the times in these games. Because modules do that all the time. Of like, go do this random thing in this inconsequential dungeon.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most common styles of running a D&D game is when you're level 1, you're not going to be going to some unique place. You're going to go clear a graveyard out or something.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of the thing. Well, but then again, like I would almost consider, like, if you're going to go clear out a graveyard, that's kind of more of a battle map, which I think fine to get from anywhere.
They're pretty big graveyards.
It depends. It depends on what you're doing at the graveyard too. I think.
Yes.
There is that difference between the battle map and the dungeon map, and sometimes they can overlap, and you have to be. That's the thing is, certainly speaking, depending if your dungeon map is big enough, it becomes also in small areas a battle map. I think I think that's when we talk about a battle map. Yes, you can use a dungeon for that, but also there's the idea that there are specific like small snippets that are battle maps. That forest scene that was used in so many goddamn games for you and Lightning, I think it showed up a lot, just because it's like a forest clearing that's very easy.
It's a very nice 30 by 30 open map.
Yeah, I mean, you had that generic forest map that you used for Fall of Avonswell.
Yeah, I did.
With that river running through it. I used that like 5 times.
I used a map that I just basically found because it had something I wanted in it. I just added a couple extra. I just defined what the rooms were. I basically found like a temple map for when you fought the T-Rexes and went to that temple, and I was like, cool, it has what I want in it, and I can just define what the other rooms are then, of it.
Yeah, the way I'm likely going to start, what I would maybe recommend for dungeon maps at this point, because it can be hard to have a battle dungeon map because they're very big. Draw out your dungeon to be representative of one token is the party going through it, and then Final Fantasy style random encounter, you pull them onto a battle map that's good enough for what kind of room they're in, and then they fight in that, and then you go back to the dungeon map, and they continue walking along.
And honestly, this is kind of where we were talking. I think, was it last time, point crawls? It's basically exactly the kind of thing that's for.
Yeah. So
exactly how that works.
I put together a group token for you guys if you go onto any big maps.
Yeah, it's an elk. It was like a deer.
Yeah. I just gave you guys because this one was talking about maybe taking an elk or something.
I can't escape it.
Yeah, so I decided. Oh, then the elk in space. I forgot about
damn elk.
Elk was in my brain because of that, and you talking about like maybe like a deer or an elk as replace, like, because you were still deciding on your animal companion. So I was like, you know what, group token, it's an elk.
Look, The elk stems from a joke from Hell's Rebels where Lightning picked an elk as an animal companion, and it rolled so well on a perception check to see an invisible guy. And then so that's the elk just found a serial killer for us.
Elk detective.
I hate that damn elk.
But yeah, that's why that's why I put a group token together too, because I'm like, hey,
Yeah, I feel like especially for towns,
Yeah.
group tokens are very good, but that's a different discussion.
because there's a couple of towns and region maps and stuff like that where like you can explore, and I'm like, is it going to come up every time? No, but there might be some times that we might use it, so that's why I was like, cool, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like what I want to start doing because Dungeon Scrawl is now like implemented pretty fully into Roll20, so it's very easy to draw maps on Roll20 now.
Yes.
So I will probably just draw out a dungeon and then pull up encounter maps that are themed to what the dungeon is, but largely inconsequential and generic. So I can just be, unless it's a boss room or like an important room, of course.
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, you're fighting some skeletons in the hallway, you're getting a generic hallway map.
Yeah. Because like again, like your dungeon map, it doesn't need to be so like, yes, you can go the full. The map is also the battle board level of detail. They do that in like pre-made Pathfinder maps a lot.
To do that.
Yeah,
that's making maps.
Yeah, if you're doing that, you're getting a stress level out of yourself.
More power to you. Yeah. You're doing great.
Yeah,
you're perfect.
Yeah,
pop off, queen. I don't got the time to do that.
No, it's a level of work. Again, that's a lot of pre-made maps like Pathfinder maps or some dungeon D&D maps will do that. So
even like with some Pathfinder maps, I'm like, should I just remake this because this map is kind of ass?
They do that too.
I love making maps and putting obstacles and doing all that stuff. I take the extra time. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, so you certainly can.
You know what you can hide behind.
Yep. But there is also then like we get into the battle map where, as I said, like this is the ultimate expression of what you want, whether you're using a pre-made one or easy ones. There's a lot of maps that Shepeku have that can be pretty good. It's the question of what do I need now and what kind of details do I need on it. And certainly speaking, even one of those pre-made ones, you can add stuff on it. Roll20 has all these tools where I can add random weird items to a thing and be like, there's a barrel over here now. That makes a difference. That could be some like a pile of barrels that people check out, or another like pillar people can get like behind for some cover or something like that. And the battle map can also define the environment you are exploring.
Yes, very much. That is the more important part of this conversation. Is you definitely, if you're using maps, you want them to be themed consistently.
Yeah.
And making your own maps definitely helps with that.
It helps you define what's going on there, and I think we've talked about it before. A big part of battles can be the environment and can change how things elevation, if there's hazards, if there's things that people can take cover behind, are there objects in there that can have an effect? These are questions that you can ask. If there is an alchemy table, maybe you can chuck something from it at one of your enemies and it like poison them or be acid or something like that, to add an extra like special attack or something like that, on top of things. These are like things that you kind of define and decide upon and kind of help build what your encounter is. And the environment is usually a good way to reflect it upon by your map. I think it's the easiest way to say, your map reflects the environment.
And, and I don't want to say, like, maybe I shouldn't actually say that. Never mind. I was going to tell you how to bypass something, but never mind.
Fine, keep your secrets.
I mean, you want to know how to get Shepeku maps without having to pay?
I don't really care.
I do pay for them.
I'm the kind of person, because I run a lot of sci-fi adjacent D&D games of like, I've got to open up Reddit r/battle maps and type in words that are vaguely similar to what I need, and I'm going to find the next best thing on there.
Yeah. Here's the thing too, is like if you want to like get Shepeku maps, it's like most subscription things. You can probably like subscribe for like once a year. and then just come back the next
Pretty
year
much.
for an update on
Yeah,
a bunch
so the
of
way
stuff.
JPEGU works, if you really want to, you can basically subscribe for 1 month, download their entire back catalog, and then wait until next, and then unsubscribe, then wait till next year and do the same thing again. It's I do just subscribe to their yearly subscription. It's a lot more money, but I don't mind supporting them. So that's kind of why I view it as supporting. And I think it's important. But yeah, no, I also understand if you're not someone who thinks maps are absolutely required. Well, again, I think we're saying they are kind of important.
They are very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not you think you need to make a custom map for your thing or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
or whether
situations.
or not, it's worth paying for. They're like, but
and again, I think it is also important to say, like, the way we're talking about things, we're talking about, a lot of situations where having a map is very good. And, yes, there are certainly, like, in certain types of encounters and places and stuff, you might not need a map, and then you're not going to worry about it. But complex encounters, difficult encounters, there are a lot of really important places where you're like, a map would really help here,
in my opinion, even if your game doesn't have like strict measurements or stuff, it's still important. It's like, okay, the person's standing over here and you're back here, even if like there's no mechanical way, it's like I run up, and I go and hit them, and it's just like, that's all you need to know. You move your token and then you can see where everyone is, and it helps so much for just spatial visualization.
The only time I think you don't need a map is when you're dealing with a game that does range bands, because range bands kind of don't work with maps.
Yeah, that's actually one thing. I spent at least a whole work day when I was really bored one time trying to figure out a way to make range bands work on a map. I might try it again. But I didn't, let's just say I didn't disprove it mathematically.
I think
in that time.
Because range bands are wholly contextual.
I think like there is like ways you can use a range band plus map, but most of the time that you're probably going to be doing that, it would be more like you're just giving a general idea of where
exploration would be more for that.
It's less for the true need for combat and the directions, and more just for like a generalized. There's some basics, for where something is.
And I think it is hard because I think you need something like, that's why we brought up point crawl last week, and why I think it's important for even just have a general idea about how things connect. I mean, it's already kind of a nebulous, like RPGs are it's very hard to like make sure everyone's on the same page, and maps just help that so much.
Yep.
And that's why I think they're important. Also describing things. Actually, I really like a rule I heard, which for every role, you should give 2 sentences. So it's not just, okay, instead of like, it's kind of a tangent, but like instead of, okay, roll to jump the gap, a 20. Okay, you jump the gap. It's okay, you do a running leap, you jump, and you're able to catch on the other side without a problem. Just something like that. It helps kind of get a visual about how things are going on. Yeah,
for stuff like that, if the player rolls really well, I'll just be like, all right, how you do it?
Yeah, no, and that's actually fine too. Letting players describe. In fact,
tell me how you're cool.
Yep. Yeah, I actually love it when players get into it like that. It's even better. It's just sometimes players don't, and if they don't want to or they just don't, I'm fine with it. If I'll describe it.
Yep.
It just helps keeps things. Just having more descriptions just helps everyone. Keep on the same page.
Yeah.
You can never have too much information in an RPG.
Well, you definitely can, because if you give like too much of the wrong information, then players ignore the correct information and focus in on the wrong thing.
Yeah, like
okay, let me rephrase that. You can never have
happened. It happened a bit in the Shadowrun game at times.
Yeah, there's certain types of information that you want as much as possible, and then it's sort of like things is you just have to know, you have to recognize what information you want to kind of focus on, and then focus on that one type of information. When you go to like multiple different types of things, it can add confusion. Like,
In fact, I know how to break this down. Actions. You can never describe too much when it comes to action.
Yeah.
What people are doing, how people are moving.
Yep.
Because those are things that people will be able to see anyway.
Yep. It's just like, describe what you need from the room, and if people ask details, go into details about it. Like you could be like, there's a bookshelf, a table, and a desk nearby.
Yeah.
If someone asks about it and goes checks it out, you can give more details about it then, because they're looking into it. And whether or not that's important or not, you didn't say it was. Maybe there is something important there, maybe there's not. But again, like, your players aren't going to automatically thinking it's all important. There could be like, well, something could be important here, but we got to check it out or decide if we want to look into it. You're not pushing them in a direction in ways that might not be correct. Like if you describe like 3 things on the desk and there's nothing important on the desk, they're going to be like, the desk must be important. That's the kind of direction.
Where I excel, as I'm a very heavy improv DM. I would say probably of the percentage of a session I've written down is probably roughly around 30%, and the rest is just off the dome.
Yeah.
Which, as good as my games are, is a little shocking at times.
I mean, I kind of have the same philosophy. I write down things that will be needed, and then, I mean, heck, we can even talk about last Sunday a little bit ahead of time, where it's just like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. There were definitely some things, like for example, the pants that Jesse cleaned. Like, I did not expect him to just like and so I made up the fact that there was mud on the pants in the spot. That was not something.
You weren't expecting him to like, do something like that would actually like, ingratiate himself on the snobby merchant guy,
Yeah. But like, I knew you guys could potentially find out more information, but because he took that action, I decided, I'm going to give him this little extra detail that might be helpful.
Yeah.
Was there mud on the pants before? I have no idea. I made that up.
Mm-hmm. There didn't need to be before. But,
Yeah.
Interesting direction.
He was just complaining about his dirty clothes because he hasn't, he's been trapped here for a few weeks and he's a snobbish noble.
I'm sensing a theme with his characters. Why is he always dirty?
Good question. Because evil. I was thinking like that.
Dirty, punches things. Just got a type.
But does make characters like that a lot. Anyway, shall we talk about our week then? That's a good transition to it, because I think that's a good spot to kind of say, like, we all kind of have an idea with this of where you kind of go and what you want to think about for when you're choosing your map. You have to define, what the battle is, what the place is, and then what do you want from those, and those are questions that when you ask, you get an answer that might be good for you. And,
and I say find a source. And for me, it's like find a source. And I think it's actually important. But when you're making your session, find a map and then figure out how that battle's going to go.
Mm-hmm. And figure out what you're going to add or not add to it too.
Yeah, because if you do it the other way, you will never find a map that's good.
Yep. So, all right. I think that was a pretty good dive into that one. Let's talk about our week. So yeah, we had your game last Sunday where we investigated the town and came up with 2 good directions for figuring out what's kind of going wrong. There's a water spirit that our person that's in tune with spirits can talk to, and also some things related to the person who may or may not have activated some kind of weird artifact which caused the problems in the hand. Both are options. We don't know which is which, or they could be related.
Yeah, I realized I didn't make it clear enough that everyone has a different view of Argostat, but I didn't make the barkeep's opinion clear enough that he hates her and thinks that she did this on purpose. I need to make that clearer next time.
The thing is, like, I think for my character, I was definitely going by the thing of like it didn't sound like from descriptions, even if people don't like them, that it was like direct trying to cause the problem may have activated something by choice, but didn't plan for what's going on now. That's what I thought at most, the worst could be.
Yep. Well, basically what I'm saying is I didn't seed enough doubt. I wanted to seed more doubt, but it's fine. Because honestly, I gave you more. I'll admit, I gave you a little bit more of what actually happened, and I meant to seed a little bit more doubt. But otherwise, it was fine. Like again, it was just more okay. You guys aren't going to be suspicious of Argostat.
I mean,
that's fine.
I'm suspicious that they're an idiot at most. Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm like, why'd you touch stuff? Stop touching stuff. That's a bad idea. You've played around with things you shouldn't have. Why? That's kind of where I'm kind of going with that.
And one thing, I don't know if I should even say this, but I found it so funny because like the big giant glowing orb.
Yeah.
None of you investigated it.
I thought one of us did. Maybe I just missed that.
I only just so that's the thing. Jasper had detect magic up, so I told them that it was radiating massive amounts of dimensional magic. But no one followed up to investigate it in any capacity.
Wow.
It happens.
Yeah, like it's as soon as you say that, I'm like, yeah, I didn't. It's just something was with the information there. It almost like unfortunately made me like think that okay, I guess that's kind of what we can find out from it or something like that. Because my character isn't one that would be like, oh, arcane strange object, I can figure out about it. So interesting.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, for him having detect magic, I gave him the like. If you use detect magic on it, you would be able to find out more. But if you didn't actually like investigate, that's the funny thing. Do you remember how I made him do a perception check right before you left? That was me going like, okay, I'm at least going to give him a chance to notice there's something up with it, so he can go investigate it. But he failed it. So
there would have been more information to glean. But
yeah,
that's fine.
It's not impossible. Like again, I know the rule of you have to place hints in other places. I just found it so funny that I basically placed this thing and tried to make it so obvious that there was like these people were interested in it. Okay, it's raiding a ton of mana. It's
yes.
Like, and then okay, we leave. Gotta love players.
Yeah, gotta love us. We're really great at reacting in appropriate ways.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the general gist though of what happened. You guys kind of talked to the kid, who. You tied up the people, stole their magic items, and headed back to town. After that, you collected, or you stored them in the inn, met the innkeeper, talked to the noble, who you found out was definitely hiding something out of his own interest, but not necessarily maliciously.
Yeah.
Could still be a,
well,
there's lots of things that could be going on.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, it still could be to a degree malicious, but I don't think it's like malicious though. Like he's trying to like he's evil. I'm just of the opinion he's kind of a dickwad.
Yeah.
So.
Something was going on with the guard.
Yeah.
And then you talked to the shopkeep or the potion shopkeep who kind of told you about Argostat. She was kind of a bit more friends with her.
Yeah, we got some general information. At very least, it feels like stuff to work off.
Yep. Yeah.
So, Monday.
Potion and a potion maker and a mage. They could talk shop.
Yeah. Monday. Yeah, we had some spacey adventures where
some space stuff. We met with a cool angel lady. We had a philosophical discussion on the merits of well, if that guy killed me, he clearly deserved to kill me.
It was an interesting kind of like, you know, our characters come from very different places, so it's interesting to kind of see like
two people from warrior cultures. You got whatever the hell Cell is playing.
It's something.
And you've got you, a filthy centrist who refuses to take sides.
I'm not a filthy centrist. I'm just from like Victorian London. I'm from Victorian London and an awful like member of like stealing from the British Museum kind of character. But also like definitely not respecting whoever's authority is at a place. You know, it's like, oh, you're preventing me from going in and acquiring these artifacts. Too bad.
Yeah.
There were some interesting kind of like I guess like
a lot of backstory stuff.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
We learned more about Jay's character.
Mm-hmm.
A lot about Jay's character, really.
Yeah.
Almost like Jay had a 40-minute backstory scene.
It was very long of a backstory scene. I'm not gonna lie, that was.
Yours was, well, I'm just gonna go in these woods and then never return.
Well, it's kind of like it was. I'm gonna go check out like probably some kind of ruins and acquire something, and then something happened, and I ended up in space.
You got abducted by aliens.
Got abducted by aliens. Goddamn aliens. Damn.
It just be that way sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes aliens just abduct you, and then you're just stuck in space.
I get to hang out with cool people.
Yeah.
Like Stells.
Now
a freak.
Now I get to acquire strange artifacts from other planets. And
that's true. You can go rob all the dead planets we go visit.
Yeah, we keep visiting dead planets. I'm like, ooh, stuff. Can I learn about this and also acquire their things? I like acquiring their things. So how about Tuesday? How'd Tuesday go?
We didn't have Tuesday because Cell had family visiting, and we took a day off.
Okay.
Which I was fine with because I was feeling a little sick anyways.
Yeah. I think Wednesday went well. We did our kind of like set up everything, get a lot of stuff established, figure out what's going on. I think things are pretty well set up for this Wednesday. I don't have everything I want to set up, but I got a good amount of stuff, so I think I'm good for like at least the first couple of sessions. It's sort of like that's where I just want to get to. I want to have enough stuff that I'm set up for the first couple of sessions, and I can put more stuff together then during the weeks and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to rush and get everything done. I just want to have enough that, you know, I know we're ready for stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm working towards.
Okay. You just need to be ready for one session.
Yeah. True.
Well, I'm prepping for like 2 just in case you do a lot of crazy stuff where I'm like, I underestimated what the hell you can do in one session.
You should probably try to have 2 sessions prepped at a time.
Yeah, usually in my mind, I like to have 3. That ends up being 6, but it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was present for some of that conversation, so it's fine.
Yeah. It was certainly things happened.
Yeah, the Phil chat in. I built my PC that day. Then, completely by coincidence, my microphone died on the same day. So I do have to buy a new microphone at some point. Yeah. But I might just use this one for a while because it's nice enough.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be just good enough.
This is an actual podcasting mic, so it does pick up a little better, I think.
I guess the next day would be Saturday, because I don't think anybody usually has anything on Thursday or Friday. So
we didn't have a game today.
No game today.
It's the last one we should skip in a little while, but it's just there's been a lot of people who have been like,
I think I have a session 1 tomorrow or something. I'm pretty sure I was told it was on the 28th, but River hasn't responded to my messages confirming that. So
I know we have some Joe game hopefully, and that was I don't know what we're doing anymore in that game. We're fighting some final bosses and making a key and doing some things, and stuff will happen. So it's the unfortunate thing of like, I feel like part of my soul has left for Joe's game, but we're so close to the end. I just want to finish it up and get there.
That's fair. When I was in that game, I didn't have a great time.
it's just, I feel like it's been long, you know. I think that's the entire thing. It's been a very long game because every other week for the same game for like as long as it's been has felt long.
Yeah, I try to keep my games around 4 to 5 months.
Yeah. It's reflected on me more like the trying for shorter games, or like at least shorter like grouping of games and stuff like that. It feels better then too. And like I always thought about doing games every other week, but having encountered Joe's game, I'm like, I don't think I could handle that.
No,
you know?
it
It's
extends
hard.
too much.
You know, and the times when we miss it, it really, we feel it. Because like what?
Mhm.
It's been like 4 weeks now since we played Joe's game then?
Yes.
And that's forever.
Rough.
Yeah. It's rough when
It's
you
a
have
month
to miss
of no
a-
game.
Yeah. It's rough when we have to miss sessions.
I mean, that's
So-
why, like, you know, with the family stuff, I'm like, no, I don't want to skip a session. I'd rather just have a shorter one.
And again, like, you know, at least very much for what you're doing, we are only doing like, what, like a small handful of sessions. Wait, how many are you aiming for?
Sure.
Like 5 or something per a small mini
I was
adventure?
aiming for 3, although looking like it's going to be closer to 5, yeah.
I think it depends on how well we adapt to the adventure and game. I think it's going to vary
Yeah.
for each one, you know. Like a 3 to 5
Yep.
sounds like a good, like, we try out a system, we see how it
I
goes.
mean, realistically, I'm shooting for 3 to 6, so, yeah. But
Some
yeah, I don't
stories might
plan to
need
do
that
more
extra.
than 6.
Like depending on what you have and where we get to, I don't feel like we're very close to the end. Like we but the third session, like I feel like we could, certainly speaking, depending on how well things go, be done in 4 sessions with this one. You know, I don't think we're gonna be done in 3, but no.
Oh no, you're not going to be done in 3. No way. You guys are about where I thought the first session would end, but yeah.
Well, the battle took a
but-
little while there too.
Yeah, the battle took a lot longer than I thought it would, especially since, you know, we're all getting used to the new system,
Yeah.
combat and stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, I need to go through and double check that there aren't as many of those mistakes in the next combat. Should, but there's a mini dungeon crawl. It's just like a 5-room dungeon thing.
Yeah. So we got a little
Uh,
left to do still. But
yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
That's what I'm thinking, like 5, and then the final
Yeah.
the final bit. I don't even want to say any more than bit because I was like, let's see, final X, final Y. Oh,
Like
no, I'll just say final
here's in
bit.
my mind, because we're going to go check out the water spirit, figure out what's going on with water spirit, go check out the little dungeon, maybe find out something there that either leads us back to the orb or something else related to it that makes us go to somewhere else or something like that. And so that's the kind of things I think like we'll figure something out between these things here. I feel like
Yeah,
the spirit will give us another piece of the puzzle. And then the dungeon is kind of going to be like putting the puzzle together, facing off like what, figuring out what's going on here, you know, more is, you know.
Yeah.
I personally, like, don't think we need the spirit, but it sounds like, you know, with how our characters are, like, you know, I forget who's the one that's the spirit based one.
I can tell you, it's Jasper.
I feel like, you know,
Warlock.
Jasper, the warlock, with his connections to like more natural spirits, is like, you know, let's figure it out.
I mean,
Might
I'm
be
going to tell you
Kirsch.
right now, basically, if you skipped going to the spirit, you will you could figure out everything. It just might, it's basically just to get a little bit more information before the dungeon. It's basically all
It
the
might
spirit will
help
do.
speed things along when we're trying it, where we're in the what the hell is the solution portion of this entire thing. Yes. Another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. It's basically just completing the puzzle before you, you know, it's basically, there's saving the town and figuring out what's going on. Those are basically 2 different things. You can
Yeah.
save the town without figuring out everything that's going on. So if you skip that, it's fine. You know, that's kind of what I'll say.
So, anyway, so I guess that's our week. Cool. I guess we can kind of end up there. So, yeah. Unless you got anything to shout out, Momo, I'll turn it over to Worm for his shout out and hello adventure. Nice to have you come and join me here. So I guess, yeah, Worm, we turn it over to you.
Yeah. I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. I'll be streaming tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. PDT. Was it Sunday and other things? Anyway. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Hi. That's average good. I'll be back on Tuesday. Be doing some gaming there. I'm honestly getting towards the end of the God of War. I have a couple of things. I do want to finish it up. I'll try to get a good session in where we can get pretty close to the end of the 2018 God of War. I've had a good time playing through it and stuff like that. And then a Wednesday, new game. The first in the series, hopefully, of Shadows of Thassalon. Similar to with Shadowrun, I'm kind of doing it in a series where we do kind of like a little season here and there, and we'll kind of switch in between the different things here too. But first one coming along, it should be ready by Wednesday, should be good to go. Hopefully everybody will enjoy it. We're going to be playing through some Pathfinder 1 for that one. So that'll be good. And then, yeah. Thank you to you two for joining me once more. Hopefully, I want both of you come back next week for a good July 4th, I guess it will be technically for here in the US, I think, if I'm remembering my dates correctly. My brain was saying it was, but you know, now I'm like, yes, I was correct. My brain doesn't always work good. But yeah, anyway, everybody, do the various things in the various places and check out links for myself down in descriptions of wherever you're at. Anyway, all right, people, have a good rest of your day and see you next time. Bye.